We all know it is hard to find a good webcam that delivers good quality, but at an affordable price. And unfortunately, it is hard to find that unless you're spending over $100. And well, this might change that. This is the Obsbot Meet SE, and this might be the best option to go for that is affordable, but is also performant. So let's talk about it. Now first, let's actually talk about what you get in the box, because there's quite a few things. Now first, you are greeted to the manual, which I will definitely say is a must read just to understand some of the gimmicks that the Meet SE has to offer to you. And there are quite a few gimmicks that it does have, but do not worry, we will actually cover that in this video. But underneath that, you'll find the following. You'll find a box that will include the USB-C to USB-C cable, which don't worry, if you are someone that uses a device that only has USB Type A, OSBot actually does include a USB Type A adapter for the USB Type C cable. But also in that box, you'll also find the privacy cover, which we'll also talk about later of some of the downsides of it. But next, you also have the magnetic mount, which is very useful, and I've actually been finding a lot of nice things about it, which we'll actually cover later in this video. And then finally, you have the camera itself, which, by the way, this thing is basically roughly the same size as the AirPods 4. So yes, the camera you are getting is extremely tiny, but does deliver a lot of performance. But now let's actually talk about what is found in the small form factor for the Meet SE that gives it so much performance. Now the Meet SE is able to capture at 1080p 100 FPS, which is way more than enough specs, and you can also adjust it in software. But it's able to capture all that quality using its 1 to 2.8 inch CMOS sensor that also has support for HDR. But not just that, but you also have an ISO range of 100 to 2500, has autofocus, has some unique AI functions that we'll actually be showing right now. This is how the Meet SE actually looks like with no settings on and just raw performance. And this is not including HDR on at all. So this is just what you can expect straight out the box without fine-tuning any settings. We have the natural light coming through the background, and I mean, it looks pretty clear, and not just that, but the video quality looks still pretty good. I mean, you can see some detail on the shirt with the YouTube logo, you can see the mic detail decently, and to also include, this is being recorded through the Obsbot Center software, which is Obsbot's very own software where you can obviously do some settings to adjust it even more to your liking, and also it does have some unique settings that can help you as a creator or just someone that needs some software for broadcasting. But let's quickly turn on HDR. Now, I just toggled on HDR, so I'll just give it a little sec to just adjust, because that's where the AI cover also helps a lot, is it'll automatically adjust the settings. So right now it's just fine tuning it straight for the best way it can look, but you can actually see some details in the background. Now right now this is what it looks like with the HDR, and it definitely looks a lot more crisp. Now just a little tip to include for those who are wanting to buy the Meet SE is that if you are wanting to use the HDR for your streams or for video recording or even conferences, HDR will be only able to be done via 1080p at 60 FPS. So if you do want to have the 100 FPS, it will have to be in raw performance, which of course, if you have a decently lit room, then you should actually get that performance with no issues at all. But we are going to be using the software. You can do so many things in the software. Now we can actually go to more, we can do some gestures, we can do the audio, which we will obviously show a demo of what the audio sounds like straight from the webcam, which I'm going to just say it is pretty good. But let's go to the beauty effects, because this can actually do quite a bit. Now something I do want to add is one of the downsides for this type of camera is the background blur isn't really the best. It does decent with the outline of our arm and outline of our shoulder, but you can see it is struggling a little bit. And the same can go with the background. We can replace the background with a different setting, which, yeah, it's not the best, but it's trying. But it does have retouch features, which can actually add effects. So I'm going for native, which can do some touches to my face. We've got classic, which, yeah, it makes me look more of a girl. And then you have man, which I guess just highlights more of a beard if you have a beard. But it looks pretty good. And you can even do the same with the smoothness. You can even add some more filters. So you have many ways to customize this webcam to your own liking. But now I'm switched over to OBS because I do kind of prefer using OBS for obviously my videos and also for live streaming. But this is with a proper lit scene. We've got a light to our left, we've got our light to our right, we've got our light in the background, which gives us a nice effect for the lighting. But this is what it looks like with a proper lighting setup. And I mean, it's clear, it is capturing a decent amount of color, and also it's getting some decent focus. But let's actually talk about the gesture controls because it can be very useful for many uses, from conferences to try and show a point during a live stream, or even doing some videos and you wanting to use some effects that are built straight into the camera itself. Now first, let's actually demonstrate the zoom effect, which is basically doing an L shape of your fingers. So if you go like this, it will zoom in 2x zoom, which you can actually see there is more pixelation on my face and on the curves on my ear. And I would not really recommend using this too much, maybe just to use it for fun. But you can do it up to 4x zoom. You can actually customize it in the Obsbot Center software. So if you do want to do 4x zoom, I would not really recommend it because it is even more pixelated, but it's kind of a nice little effect to actually have. Now another gesture is where it can basically track you in your room. And this can be very useful for conferences or just trying to make sure the camera keeps you in center of the frame. Best way to really describe it is if you are someone that uses Apple devices, it is basically center stage. So the way to activate it is to show your whole palm. And when you do that, it will actually flash purple on the webcam itself to show you that, well, it's going to track you. And it is very effective, which I mean, it's going to be very useful for some cases. But I mean, it's tracking really well, and the AI is really working its best to keep me centering. And if you do want to actually customize a little bit more in the software, you can even do that where you can obviously have it set on what we're going to have it now, which is capturing upper body. But you can also customize it to capture multiple people, keep them in frame. So you have many ways to actually use it to your advantage. But let's actually quickly do a comparison between this raw performance compared to raw performance with a well-known Logitech camera that many people actually use, and it's actually roughly the same price on the market. So let's switch to that. But now we are in the test for, well, the Logitech and the Obsbot Meet SE. Now obviously the Logitech we are using is a well-known Logitech that most streamers use and most same people actually use, which is the C922. Which we have kind of reviewed in the past before. It's still a good camera in 2026, but the Meet SE is so much clearer, and this is raw performance. There's no settings being done for any of these cameras, so this is what you can actually expect. And I mean, honestly, in OBS or any other software you're going to be using can make it look a lot more better. So if you want to make it more dark, you can. But this just gives you a rough estimate of what you can expect in terms of camera quality with a camera that is the same price range. But let's now actually switch to the nighttime use and me using it for my live streams, and of course also using it in a completely dark room. But now this is what it looks like for nighttime shooting, and this is normally what I use when it comes to my live streams, especially because I do prefer live streaming at nighttime, and it's a lot easier to manage the lighting from the background and I'll see just all around. But it looks pretty clear and does give a decent amount of detail, especially for the background, gives enough information for a lot of viewers to actually see, and also captures me really nicely. Now, of course, we're going to also switch over to just some of the color effects that I do use, obviously with the light, just to give an idea of different color phrases and what can be picked up on the camera itself. And also we're going to be testing out just pure darkness with just the monitors lighting me up. Okay, so right now we got an RGB phase going on the light I'm using right now. And this is what it looks like with different colors on my face. Now, I didn't say, when I bring in this light, it does manage to pick up a decent amount of information for the light in the sensor. So it's not damaging the light at all. But I will say, when you bring a light closer to your face, depending on the colors, you can see some blur effects happening. Now, it's only with blue, pink, and also red. So I do recommend to watch out for those colors when it comes to lighting, because if you have it too close to your face, it will definitely add some artifacting, but it still looks pretty good. But now this is what it looks like at nighttime with just the monitors lining up, myself, and I mean, the fact that it looks this clear just using natural settings, nothing being added, and just the camera picking up itself using the AI that it has built in, it works pretty nicely. Now if you turn on one of these lights, it shows that much information. If I turn on this other light for the side, it shows that much information and does adjust to accordingly. But of course, having a good amount of light in the background in front of you does also make your image a lot more cleaner. But I mean, this webcam does deliver enough for those type of shooting. But now this is actually the proper test using the built-in microphones that are found with the Meet SE. Now there are two dots on the very front of the camera itself, which are obviously for the microphones. Now the microphone quality isn't bad at all. It does obviously have a little bit of echo in some points, but the fact this is just built-in microphones Still sounds pretty good. And I mean, if you are on a budget and you're just wanting to get a good webcam that can deliver some decent audio quality for your microphone, this can definitely do that for you. And I mean, for $69, that is pretty darn good for what you are getting. And just for me to throw it in, this is me using this noise suppression that is actually found built into OBS, which, yeah, if you do plan to actually use this for live streaming, you use noise suppression, this is what you can actually expect with the Meet SE with this function on. And this is on the best setting for noise suppression. So now hopefully you have an idea of audio quality from the Meet SE. We technically did cover everything about the Obsbot Meet SE, except for two features, and those two features can actually add a little bit extra to why you might actually want to go for this. Now one is the vertical mount, or upside down mount, because yes, it can detect which way it is rotated. So let's say if you're wanting to record a TikTok or a vertical video, you can just, on the magnetic mount, you can just turn it vertical and it should be able to detect straight away that you are going to be streaming in vertical. Now do keep in mind, depending on what software you'll be using, depends if it will detect it straight away. Now some of the softwares that do obviously detect it easily is mostly OBS, Obsbot's own software, which is obviously Obsbot Center, and obviously a list of other softwares that do obviously detect it automatically. But obviously, if your software doesn't detect it, you can't just rotate the canvas on the software itself. And something I will definitely add is I've been using the vertical mounts for a lot of my YouTube shorts on my YouTube channel, which has been looking pretty good. And obviously the last thing to talk about is the magnetic mount, which we haven't really talked about much. Now yes, it sticks really nicely, it's very solid, and I would definitely say it is hard to really just expect it to fall off. It will not do that. I've tried it. It is very sturdy once it is placed. But something I do really like about the magnetic mount is that you can just pull it up and you can capture facing downwards. So for example, if you're wanting to capture whatever is on your desk for, let's say, unboxings or any other scenario, it'll be able to capture straight down. You can also just adjust the angle for any situation. Now, of course, the magnetic mount isn't the only way to actually mount the Meet SE, because underneath, you do have a thread. Now, yes, despite the fact that you can technically mount this on a tripod, it does look very strange on a tripod because it's very tiny. But if you do have a small tripod, it will definitely look a lot better on a small tripod. But there are so many ways for you to mount this to capture whatever you're wanting to capture for your videos, conferences, or just standard streaming. Now, something I do want to just mention for those who are wanting to know about the privacy protector. Now, yes, it is very loose, and some people do complain that you can lose it, but not many know that behind the mount itself, it is magnetic to actually keep the protector in place, so you won't lose it. You can easily just grab it and put it on without any issues. So it's just a nice little tip for those who are wanting to know. But do I actually recommend you to go for the Meet SE? Now, if you are someone that wants to do live streaming, content creation, or even using a good camera for conferences, this will be a good fit for anyone to actually use. It gives you enough quality, gives you enough clarity, and also has a lot of features that makes it a lot more easier for you to actually customize it to your own liking. Now, just to mention, you do also have the Meet 2, which is a 4K version of this, which, I mean, if you do want to have 4K quality, you can go for that option. But I mean, in full honesty, this being a 1080p, able to capture at 100 FPS, is more than enough for anyone to actually go for. But otherwise, do let me know in the comments below. Do you think you'll pick this up for yourself or not? But I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next one. Be safe as always. Have a good day onwards. Bye.